welcome. I'm Asima Katauka and you are watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. Ukraine has warned of a critical situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant as Russian strikes in Kharkiv injured 6 and spared 5, as per regional governor Odesa. A separate daytime drone attack in Dnipro has killed 1 man, injured 20 and damaged medical as well as residential buildings. The Global Smooth Flotilla attempting to deliver aid to Gaza has reported that unidentified unlit vessels approached its boat before departing. Participants activated security protocols to prepare for a possible interception, according to media reports. Today, the U.S. government has shut down after the Senate rejected a short-term spending measure, holding critical economic data and furloughing 750,000 federal workers at a daily cost of $400 million. Analysts warn the stalemate amid partisan divides over health benefits could last longer than past closures, according to media reports. A severe rainstorm in Ukraine's Odesa has killed at least 9 people, including 1 child, after the city received nearly 2 months' worth of rainfall in just 7 hours. Mayor Gennady Trukhanov warned that no sewer system could withstand such flooding. A powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck the central Philippines, killing at least 60 people on Cebu Island, with officials warning the death toll could rise as rescuers search collapsed buildings. The quake has reportedly injured 147 people, damaged 22 buildings, and triggered 379 aftershocks so far. The typhoon Boaloy, which slammed Vietnam last week, killing at least 29 people, leaving 22 missing and damaging nearly 170,000 homes, with property losses estimated at $303 million, according to Vietnam's disaster management agency. The storm flooded Hanoi as well, destroying 34,000 hectares of crops, disrupted power, transport, and education. Taiwan has rejected U.S. pressure to shift half of its semiconductor production to U.S., with the island's lead tariff negotiator declaring it will not agree to such demands. This statement highlights rising tensions over global chip supply chains and tariff negotiations worldwide. Munich police has shut down Oktoberfest until at least 5 p.m. local time after explosives and booby traps were found in a residential building fire that has left 1 person dead and another missing, as special forces defused devices amid reports of shots and explosions, with authorities investigating possible links to other locations. Now here we have a breaking news. Rescuers have pulled 1 survivor and 1 body from the rubble of a collapsed school in Indonesia. Search and rescue efforts continue as authorities work to find more victims. Details are still emerging. This comes after reports stated that 3 people have died and dozens of teenage boys remain missing after the collapse of the Al-Khuzini Islamic boarding school. Authorities had also stated that 91 people were still unaccounted for, while rescuers detected signs of life beneath the rubble. Now we move on. Russian Defense Ministry has said that the Russian forces have captured Verbov in Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region. Meanwhile, the Russian-installed management of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant says radiation levels are normal and the situation is under control, but highlights that it is crucial to restore external power as soon as possible. The plant, located in Ukraine and currently under Russian control, has been without external grid power for over a week, raising serious safety concerns. The International Atomic Energy Agency reports that while the plant is running on emergency diesel generators, there is no immediate danger as long as these backups continue to function. However, the situation remains unsustainable without stable power. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has described conditions at the site as critical. Both Ukraine and Russia continue to exchange blame over attacks and power outages near the facility, which has 6 reactors. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hudson Institute, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us. Good to see you. Now, looking at this, Ukraine and Russia's war continues. Looking and adding U.S. to the picture, do you think U.S. is still interested to negotiate peace between Ukraine and Russia?
Yes, currently still U.S. is waiting, but at the same time, both U.S. side and Russian side try to step up their pressure towards others. So that's why the Russia Russia's drones or fighter jets enter in the other NATO countries, or some attacking to this time. This is making pressure from Russian side, but U.S. side has indicating they will provide Tomahawk missile to Ukraine, and Ukraine can attack the Moscow directly if they have the Tomahawk missile. These are the part of the negotiation, I think. So this is making pressure, and to agree in the negotiation is the purpose. But at the same time, attacking the nuclear reactor is, of course, one of the typical issues in between the Russia and Ukraine. But this is not merely the issue in the Russia and Ukraine, because recently the electronic power is needed for any military operation. And in the June this year, the President Trump signed the order to deploy the small nuclear reactor to the military base. And so that's why in the near future, not only the submarine, not only the nuclear missile, but also the general military base, military camps will have the nuclear reactor. If any attack has happened, of course, it could be the similar situation between the Russia and Ukraine. Attacking the nuclear plant or revealing the radioactive something, these are the matter. Common matter in the near future in the war. So that's why this issue is just now, this is a little limited between Russia and Ukraine, but this issue will be the worldwide issue in the near future.
As you say that this can be worldwide, this can become more common. Seeing how can these international institutions like the United Nations or IAEA play in mitigating the risks posed by this ongoing hostilities, particularly near nuclear facilities, and are they equipped to handle such crises in the context of modern warfare?
International organizations' power is very limited to deal with the military issue, because we are changing the age from the US-dominated unipolar world to the more a little bit different world. In this case, the country has more power instead of the international organization backed by the United States. So that's why now we are worried about military security, and in this case, the military base demand huge electronic power, and the military base try to possess their nuclear plant. That is logical course. So this means that attacking the military base means that attacking the nuclear plant, small nuclear plant inside of the military base, that could happen. So international organizations try to set up the rule, but there is a military reality, so that's why the international organization cannot stop this move, I think.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Dr. Satoru Nagao for joining us and sharing that insight from Tokyo. Now we move on. Emergency services have said that flash floods in Ukraine's southern city of Odesa have killed 9 people, including a family of 5 after torrential rain in the region. Rescue workers have worked through the night, battling havoc from severe weather and floods in Odesa. According to the emergency services, the workers have helped evacuate people from water traps, shifted cars, pumps water from buildings, and tracing missing people. A total of 362 people have been rescued in the continuing effort, the emergency service has added. Governor Ole Kieper has said that the region is now suffering from torrential rainfall for a second day. He has said that over 500 workers have been involved in the rescue effort. Now we stay in Europe. Volodymyr Z, a Ukrainian diver wanted by Germany over his alleged involvement in the Nord Stream explosions, has been detained in Poland, as per prosecutors and his lawyer. Described by both Moscow and the West as an act of sabotage, the explosions in 2022 largely severed Russian gas supplies to Europe, marking a major escalation in the Ukraine conflict and squeezing energy supplies on the continent. No one has taken responsibility for the blasts, and Ukraine has denied any role, according to the Warsaw Regional Prosecutor's Office spokesperson, and the Ukrainian citizen has been detained under a European arrest warrant issued by the authorities in Germany. Volodymyr Z's lawyer has said that his defense would fight against his transfer to Germany, arguing that the execution of the European arrest warrant against him was inadmissible given Russia's war with Ukraine. Let's listen into what the Warsaw Regional Prosecutor's Office spokesperson has said.
Dziś w godzinach porannych na terenie Pruszkowa został zatrzymany obywatel Ukrainy Volodymyr Z, który był ścigany europejskim nakazem aresztowania przez władze Republiki Federalnej Niemiec w związku z podejrzeniem sabotażu konstytucyjnego, zniszczenia mienia oraz zniszczenia infrastruktury tzw. rurociągu Nord Stream 2. Między innymi chodzi tutaj, wynika to z tego opisu czynu, o podłożenie ładunków wybuchowych, które spowodowały zniszczenie tego rurociągu Nord Stream 2. Czyn ten według ustawodawstwa niemieckiego jest zagrożony karą pozbawienia wolności do lat 15. Miejscem pobytu mężczyzna ten, lat 46, prowadzi jednoosobową działalność gospodarczą związaną z branżą budowlaną na terenie powiatu pruszkowskiego. Ma stałe miejsce pobytu na terenie Polski. Przebywa tu również jego rodzina niemiecką i to Sąd Rzeczypospolitej Polskiej będzie miał obowiązek podjąć decyzję odnośnie ewentualnego wydania w ciągu najbliższych 100 dni.
Now we move on to our next news. India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, has left interest rates unchanged despite inflation remaining low in the world's fifth largest economy and US President Donald Trump's tariff blitz darkening its outlook. The Reserve Bank of India Governor Sanjay Malhotra has said that the repurchase rate, which is the level at which it lends to commercial banks, would stay at 5.50% after an unanimous vote by a 6-member panel. Incoming policy changes and their potential effects have been cited as the reasons behind this decision. The bank rates are set to stay at the same level as they were pre-tariffs after a unanimous vote by the Monetary Policy Committee of the RBI. Let's listen in to the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India announcing this decision.
The MPC voted unanimously to keep the policy repo rate unchanged at 5.5%. Consequently, the STF rate remains at 5.25%, while the MSF rate and the bank rate remain at 5.75%. The MPC also noted that growth outlook remains resilient, supported by domestic drivers, despite weak demand. It is likely to get further support from a favorable monsoon, lower inflation, monetary easing, and the salubrious impact of the recent GST reform. The MPC therefore considered it prudent to wait for the impact of policy actions to play out and for greater clarity to emerge before charting the next course of action.
Now for this discussion, we are joined by Dr. Ajay Dua. He's a senior economist, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Dr. Ajay, for joining us today. Welcome to NewsX World. Now, the Reserve Bank of India has decided to keep interest rates unchanged despite low inflation. So how do you interpret this cautious approach, and what impact do you think it will have on India's economic growth prospects?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. I think the Reserve Bank of India, the federal bank which we call in India, its governor just mentioned, as we all heard, that on a balance of considerations, yes, there could be an impact on the Indian economy from the tariffs levied by the US administration, and as well as some impact because of the other measures like the hiking up of the H-1B visa fee of $100,000 and action against the Chabar port in Iran, which India is building. So such actions, I would not call them stray any longer, because they seem to be consistently aimed at hitting the Indian economy. And the fact that there is no easing as yet of the pressure on India to relent on its red lines for the bilateral agreement which has been under negotiation for the last 6 months, since April almost. So those were the adverse, or so to say, the headwinds against India. But the tailwinds, the ones which help out, have also been listed out, which is that there is a good monsoon. So agriculture, the summer crop, which we call the Kharif crop, which is likely to go under harvest within a week or two, is likely to be good. The area under cultivation was marginally higher than before, and the farmers have moved from the low value added crops to certain high value crops within the cropping pattern available to them at this point of time, including the availability of water, the rain-fed, particularly in the rain-fed areas. And also, it was mentioned that the recalibration of the goods and service tax, which is likely to boost consumption during the ongoing 6-week-long festival season, during which people undertake buying of goods, etc., takes place, almost like the Christmas sales in the West are underway in all parts of India now. So I think if it were only the adverse factors, then probably the governor would have had to take a measure towards easing the rates. He had done that in the month of 4 months ago exactly. In the last bi-monthly meeting, the rates were retained, and after 2 more months, that means 4 months ago, he had brought down the rates on the recommendations of the Monetary Policy Committee by a large, significant 50 basis points. And now he would like to see how this plays out, and at the same time, the assessment of the international agencies is that while India might get hit by 0.3 to 0.4% because of the adversarial position which the United States is taking vis-a-vis India, for no rhyme or reason, India is to blame for it. It is its geopolitical situation in which President Trump is no longer with Russia, and we continue to have our oil purchase from there. That's being held out against us. So these kind of things are the ones which we think are likely to be used against us. But on the whole, I think the economy will still be 6% plus during the current fiscal year.
Dr. Asia, given the ongoing global trade tensions, including you have mentioned U.S. tariffs, how do you think India's monetary policy might evolve in the coming months?
I think we are talking to a lot of countries, a lot of blocs for entering into free trade agreements with them. Free trade agreements, as you know, they bring about certainty in the trade relations. We have entered in already with one with the UAE, which has worked very positively. We first did the low-hanging fruit kind of an arrangement, then a full-fledged agreement. And UAE, after the US, has already within 18 months or so become our second largest partner. We are now talking, then we have signed an agreement with the UK. Took us 10 years to do that, but then in between came the UK exit from the EU, the Brexit, so that held it back. Now we are talking to European Union. We have just done an agreement which gets into force tonight. It's called the European Free Trade Association, which covers the Nordic countries mainly. And we are also starting discussions with the Russian Red Bloc of 4 or 5 countries around Russia, so that we have certainty of trade around the world. We are able to diversify away from the US. But short-term pain, yes, but luckily we are not going to be over-suffering.
Yes.
And it is expected that we would maintain our pace of economic growth to become the 3rd largest economy, at least by 2030, if not earlier.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Dr. Asia Dua for joining us as a senior economist and sharing your insight. Thank you very much. Now we move on to North America. More than 154,000 federal employees will leave the U.S. government payroll this week after accepting buyouts. This is the largest single-year exodus of civil servants in nearly 80 years, triggering what unions and governance experts have warned is a damaging loss of institutional expertise. The official resignations begun as workers who opted into a deferred exit program that kept them on the payroll through September. The buyouts are a cornerstone of U.S. President Donald Trump's push to shrink the federal workforce, combining financial incentives with threats of dismissal for those who decline the offer. A federal worker has reacted to this situation. Let's listen into what he has said.
What does it mean to me personally right now? That's got to be one of the toughest questions. 32 years I've defined myself by the Foreign Service. Foreign Service is the kind of career that just consumes you, okay? So that's a really tough thing to wrap my mind around, okay? It was such an honor to have that gold eagle on my business card that opened so many doors. I was kind of like the exchange student at the high school. I could talk to all the cliques and really try to figure out what was going on in country. Finding something that is that big is really hard, you know. I'm looking. It's not an easy market right now to be looking for work. There are an awful lot of people from the national security agencies who are being put out looking for jobs right now, whether it's from the intelligence community or the Department of State, Defense, USAID doesn't exist anymore. So you're competing with an awful lot of people. But what I'm trying to do is look at government relations kind of opportunities, consulting, maybe there's something in finance. But I think in the near term, more likely what I'm going to do is put out my own shingle, offer myself as an advisor for people who are trying to get into places where I have networks of contacts and background knowledge.
Now for this discussion, we are joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hudson Institute, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Doctor, for staying with us. Now, what are the immediate economic and social impacts of the U.S. government shutdown, also including the furlough of these federal workers?
Yes, no work means that no work they can do that, of course, and no budget means that no work also. So that's why the American government will be the maybe minimum, and so this means that most of the governmental work will be stopped. because of the tourism, no budget and no worker. And but originally, traditionally, anyway, the Republican wish to make the government small, and compare with the Democrats, which wish to make the government big. So they are seeking, Republicans seeking the small government, which the minimum role is best. But at the same time, the recent crisis has happened because this move is a little bit fast. Firstly, President Trump tried to minimize the government very fast pace, and secondly, in this, in the size of the share of the Republicans only 51 in the Senate, but budget demands 60 to go through. So total number of the senators are 100, and 60 is needed to go through the budget plan, but only 51 is Republicans. So that's why without persuading at least 9 Democrats, they cannot get the budget. So combined with reducing the work and many workers try to leave from this government, but at the same time, budget will not come. So this means that these people cannot work with payment. So that's why combined with the two issues is coming at the same time, the U.S. government will be nearly stopped. That is a crisis. To persuade the 9 Democrats in the Senate is indeed a very serious situation, because next year the midterm election is happening. If the government fails their work, it is beneficial for opposition party believe. So Democrats believe that if the Republican government fail to get the budget, that is a good news for the Democrats. The Democrats think. So this means that these Democratic senators do not want to cooperate with the Republican in the Senate. So that's why this negotiation is a little bit deadlocked now. A Republican must persuade some certain number of the Democrats, but Democrats do not want to do. That is the current situation.
And shifting focus now, experts have raised alarms about the loss of institutional expertise. So how do you think the U.S. government can mitigate the risks associated with such a large-scale exodus?
They try to make the minimum plan which agreeable with the Democrats, that is prepared by Republican side. But because of the midterm election, the Democrat side hesitate to agree. So Republicans try to persuade Democrats one by one, because in the U.S. system, each member of the Congress and the Senate has their own opinion, own policy, and this is very important for them. So that's why in case-by-case basis, there's a possibility the Republican can persuade the Democrat to join their move to go through at least minimum size of budget to continue their work. So that's why this is a try. They are planning, and they have already done some case. Indeed, last time they have already done 55, so Republican number is 51, so they have succeeded to persuade 4 Democrats in this case, but 4 is not enough, 9 is needed, so that's why the 5 more Democrats need to join the Republicans' plan. Without this, budget will not come. That is political game in the Senate. That is what's happening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Satoru, for sharing that insight all the way from Japan. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Europe. Munich police has temporarily closed the Oktoberfest grounds after a bomb threat was received, hours after a fire and explosions shook a residential building in the city's north. Authorities confirmed 1 person has died and another remains missing. Though they say there is no danger from that individual, police found explosive devices at the scene and are investigating any possible link to the festival, which is held annually at the Wies grounds. Organizers said the closure would remain in place until 5 p.m. local time. Police later indicated the blaze appeared to be deliberately set during a family dispute.